The next interview I've got for you, Influence of a King, is a historical fictional book that takes you on a world journey during a time of harrowing world events like the Great Depression, the drought of America's Dust Bowl years, World War II and post-war development, and it even touches on Liverpool. I caught up with the writer, Titi Horsfall, and asked her to tell us a bit more about the book and where did the idea come from.
Influence of a King spans the globe during a time of harrowing worldwide events, the Great Depression, the droughts of America's Dust Bowl years, and World War II, as well as post-war developments, and it captures the essence of faith, and the power of choices. There are two key characters in this book. There is Chad, who is born into a life of privilege, with an unquenchable thirst for adventure, and he's stirred by passion to honor his king and defend his people from Hitler. And then you have Kanyam, who is a very humble girl from very humble background within the creeks of the Niger Delta in Nigeria. And by virtue of her looks, she's very fair, very slender, very beautiful, exotic looking. She doesn't actually fit into what every other person around her looks like.
Okay.
And this causes a lot of superstitions. I believe, she's from the water spirits, and a lot of discrimination against her. So there are these two characters. They're worlds apart. It's like a Cinderella story. And you ask yourself, how will these two ever, even in your wildest dreams, meet themselves? Influence of a King portrays the fact that despite all of the complexities, the big, huge events, global events happening around us, and if you go back to 1940s during the Second World War, how would you as a person and find yourself or fulfill your destiny? Would you be drowned in all of the global happenings and just, allow yourself flow with whatever should happen? So I sought to portray that irrespective of all of this, we as individuals, we will still find our place, we will still find our purpose, we will still find meaning to our lives. We will hopefully find joy and peace too.
So with the connection to Liverpool, how did that all fit in?
From about 1886, when some blacks from Africa were sent to the United Kingdom for missionary training. If you take a step back, personalities like Mary Slessor were sent in from Scotland into Nigeria, and they tried the best they could, but could not go into certain hinterlands because of malaria or how hostile those environments were. So there was this thought that why not send some of these Africans to London, to the United Kingdom, to learn English language and to train them so that these will come back to Africa and to Nigeria and to go into the hinterlands to spread the gospel. So that was the context. Now, when I looked at the map, Liverpool was a key shipping port where lots of ships sailing from Africa will berth. So I chose to create a setting for the Aitchenwood family in Liverpool. And then I also noted I needed to also draw up a kind of setting for the Second World War and Hitler. And we know that the Jews were the most affected. And I noted also that about that period, there was a strong, and I don't know how it is currently, but then there was a strong Jewish community in Liverpool with lots of synagogues. So all of it just made sense that, okay, this ship comes from Africa. And then, of course, within Liverpool, you have a strong Jewish community. So we can create up the scenes and get the passion and the vibe about the Second World War and all of that. So that was why Liverpool was the setting.
I love that. I absolutely love it because I'm Nigerian and I'm from Liverpool as well. Okay. So I was like, great. How my world in one book. So Chad and Kanya.
Yeah.
How did they get together?
Wow. Interesting. The Second World War broke out. Okay, Chad and Kanya had been sent out of her native community because it just could not bear her being amongst them. And she was sent to the missionaries. And now she's learned English. She's been schooled. And when the Second World War broke out, she had to go back to her village to stay there because the schools were shut down. Now, Chad is a Marine commando enlisted in His Majesty's Royal Navy. and he was commissioned to be upon the British destroyer, one of the ships surfing through the Atlantic. And during the Second World War, Winston Churchill said that the Battle of the Atlantic would be one of the determining factors of the Second World War. So I put Chad in that prominent position where he was, keeping watch across the Atlantic, and a lot of merchant ships that were leaving the shores of West Africa would get asked us permission for their ships to sail through, and they would also, supervise and watch to ensure that Hitler's U-bombers and others do not, have access or hit these merchant ships.
Yes.
So I positioned Chad within that place, and of course, in the course of the war, a torpedo strikes a ship. Chad goes to carry out a certain mission to save, and he gets hit, and he's drifted towards the west coast of Nigeria, and there the movie starts. In terms of in terms of how Chad was saved from the river, having escaped sharks, and then was taken into a very riverine village that he could not imagine, and there he meets Kanyam.
Now, people don't realise, how it's in Nigeria, I don't know, would you say shadism in terms of light-skinned and dark-skinned and, those times, but, being light-skinned now is praised.
Yep.
Whereas back then, if you looked a certain way,
yeah,
do you say "mommy water," and all these things. So for people who don't know, so mommy water is like, some people say mermaid or the creature from the water, or so there was lots of superstition, and there still is now, but it was so bad back then.
Yeah.
But Kanyam is a beautiful girl. Mm-hmm. She sounds stunning, but even as a beautiful girl, she was still cast out, and they were scared of her. But then she falls in love with Chad. So it's a really fascinating book. Now, have you been to Liverpool before?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, so you'll have to come. You'll have to come and visit.
I would love to. Just speaking on Kanyam and being different. Diversity is something we try to contend with these days. People want to pick on you because you're so different from the others, but meanwhile, being different or being unique in itself is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So she was very diverse, looked very different, and she had to go through a lot of bullying, even in school, for being older than the other children in school in her class. So diversity, tolerance, and then to know that we're all connected one way or the other. I love the song, It's a Small World After All. Yeah. There's one moon and one golden sun. A smile means friendship to everyone. Though the mountains divide and the oceans are wide, it's a small world after all.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. So with the books, there was there's a running, I was saying Jewish theme.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
It was intentional to key into the sentiments, or the concerns during during World War II. If we take out the Jewish story from the Second World War, then we've left out a huge gap in telling the full story. So that was essential for the story to get its robustness.
Now, with because I want the listeners to get who you are, Titi, because you're a fascinating woman. So, being a history fictional writer, because I'll say I've never really heard of a history fictional writer. So, where did that passion come from?
From books. I started reading when I was 3, and then we didn't have computers. We had encyclopedia volumes, large, big volumes, and I will pick on those volumes and I'll read and explore. Wow, this is what Babylon was like, or this is what the United States of America. I mean, places I've never traveled to. So through books, I could go through all of those places, and I enjoyed history because I think history gives you a sense of where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And once you have your history intact mentally, you can figure out where you need to go to. So history is like a map. It gives a sense of direction on where we should go to. history is creates a sense of identity for anybody. A lot of people want to know, where do you come from?
Yeah.
And then you have to go reel out history. So history is fun. History is it's a thing that gives me joy. And then, of course, I love traveling to see the world and to develop a worldview. So you're in Liverpool, I'm here in London. I think we're connected. If I go back to Nigeria, we still share in the same identity, that we are humans, and everything that affects any of us anywhere, there is a cause and effect relationship. So it's that worldview that has gone into my writing, that my books take on this with a lot of the historical research and the worldview, for my readers to enjoy.